My marriage was, believe it or not, an arranged marriage.
Was it an arranged marriage? Yes, it certainly was. We really had no choice in the matter at all. Well, we did, but it was one of those things, wasn't it?
Everybody that I knew, family, friends, and what have you, all thought that I was crazy. And they laughed about it and thought it was a big joke. And I suppose initially it started out that way.
My friends thought I was totally nuts.
When I think about it, I did not meet him at all until 13 days before the wedding itself.
No, we didn't meet each other before we married.
I had been for 15 years a single parent, and marriage was the farthest thing from my mind.
I didn't really know if Norma was the one or not.
I suppose in some ways you could consider me as a person who will take risks.
The people we've told the story to, the response we tend to get is that it's a fairy tale.
Well, it all began in Europe, actually.
I went to Finland when I was 16 to be an exchange student with the Rotary, and I chose Finland because my mother was of Finnish descent and I wanted to find out about my roots, I guess. They had a big gathering of exchange students up in Lapland, and Kirsty and I met because she was rooming with a friend of mine who lived in the same town that I did. And after that, we just started writing, and we became good friends. Cool. When she left, it was New Year's Day of '87, and I didn't think I'd see her again. Yeah. I was back in Alaska in the beginning of August of '87, and towards the end of the month, Kirsty called me, which was a surprise, but she, I guess, had twisted her father's arm to say that it's both of our birthdays and I want to talk to my friend, so let me call. And I was really surprised when the phone rang and that was who it was. So I'm talking to Kirsty and she says, "You know, Beth, you really have to come down to Australia and visit." Somewhere in the background, I hear this little voice yell out, "Yeah, come on down and bring your mom." I don't remember who thought of it, but when Terry yelled out, "Bring your mom," somehow it clicked to us that we both had single parents. My mom was single and her dad was single, and we thought, oh, this is great. Why don't we set up our parents, and then they can get married and we can be sisters and we'd always get to see each other. And we just thought this was very funny, but the parents, I guess, had a different idea.
And that's when I just called out, "Kirsty, tell Beth I'll marry him, Mum." It was just one of those off-the-wall comment. I still don't know why I said it.
I was talking to Kirsty and we were joking about setting up our parents, and the next thing I know, my mom comes bursting into my room. She runs down the hallway from wherever she was in the house, opens my door, and she says, "Who are you marrying me off to? Tell him I accept," and bounces away. And I'm thinking, Mom, you are crazy.
Beth must have hollered out to me or said something very loud about getting married so that she and Kirsty could be sisters or something, and it kind of caught my funny bone, and I immediately thought, ooh, this will be fun. I'm going to write a letter of acceptance. And that was how it started. I went in to sit at the computer and started writing a letter of acceptance, and Beth finished her phone call and she came in and laughed with me, and we had a good time writing that letter.
I said, "Mom, what are you doing?" She says, "I'm sending my letter of acceptance to my fiancé." And I'm like, what are you talking about? So she writes this hysterical letter saying, "Of course I'll marry you, and when shall we wed? I think summer would be a great time. Do you want to live in Alaska or Australia, and where shall we have the ceremony? And by the way, what's your name?"
Well, in the letter when I wrote it, I included things like I wouldn't mind living in Australia since I'd never been there, but if we were going to do that, then I felt we should get married in Alaska. And by the way, what's your name?
So she mails off the letter, which I couldn't believe. And a week or so later, she got a response.
When I read Norma's letter, I said, "Oh dear, you did open your big mouth, didn't you? Well, okay, let's see where it leads from here." The gist of it was, yes, I'd like to get married, I'd like to marry you, I don't believe in long engagements, we'll get married in summer. My reply was, "You didn't say whose summer, yours or mine, we'll come over in December."
I guess Terry wrote back and said something like, "I'd love to marry you, and by the way, my name's Terry."
Well, that first phone call from Kirsty to Beth was the 1st or 2nd of September, I don't remember which day, and from then until 1 January was the length of time until we got married.
There was no way I could tell that she was serious, but I had to make the assumption that the person I was talking to was being serious. Otherwise, it was going to be just one very extended leg pull.
I knew it was getting serious when I got that phone call, that first one, at 3 o'clock in the morning. One of the questions asked of me at that time was, "How serious are you about this?" And as I recall, my reply was something like, "Never been more serious in my life."
I was hearing and feeling a person who was a very strong individual, and I think was rather lonely. And in some ways that was the way I was feeling at the time as well. No, I did not have any plan B whatsoever. It was just one of those things. It was going to work or it wasn't going to work. If it wasn't, well, I'd just go home. And people suggested it was bizarre, but they knew me well enough to know that once I decided to do something, there was no chance of stopping me at all.
I think basically I'm a romantic at heart, even if it's not visible all the time. And I got that same feeling through letters, tapes, and phone calls that he was as well.
There was a lot of trust, I think. There had to be, and there still is.
You know, I thought she would do something like that. I wouldn't put it past her. So I remember going into school sometime after that and saying to my friends, "My mom's going to get married." And they were like, "What? To who?" I was like, "I don't know. I have never met him, and neither has she."
When I first went to the airport to meet Terry and his daughters, I don't know as I had any thoughts going through my head.
I don't know what Mom was thinking. I'm sure she must have been pretty nervous, but she looked pretty excited too.
Maybe I was thinking, gee, will he like me? Did I dress properly? What is he going to notice about me more than anything else?
So we come to the airport and we wait, and finally everyone comes through customs.
When we walked through the door, I guess there was, how can I put it? It wasn't a lump in the throat, but there was, the adrenaline was going.
And Kirsty and I are ecstatic, and we're just standing there hugging each other.
When I first saw Norma, it was, yes, she looks just like the photo that she'd sent over.
And the parents start French kissing immediately. I didn't really notice at first until I hear in the background, "Ew," from the other siblings.
And I think there was a sense of relief, a sense of, yes, okay, the story is going to continue.
Many people have asked me how I could do something like this when I had never met the man. I've always been the type that I make instant decisions, and this case, the instant decision was terrific.
Norma and I have been married for 10 years and 7 months. I've got no regrets whatsoever about marrying Norma. Arranged marriages may not work for some people. They certainly worked for Norma and I.
I anticipate staying married to Terry from now until the rest of my life.
If someone said they were going to take a similar chance to the one that Norma and I took, I'd say go for it.
10.5 years is how long I've been married now, and we're still newlyweds.